Hi, I'm Bill, and welcome to my 5th edition of Not Your Crazy Uncle, entitled, What About Straight Pride? When we hear about pride from the LGBTQ community with events like parades and festivals and Pride Month, a natural response is, well, what about straight pride? To respond to that, I'd like to share my experiences about what it's been like growing up and living my life in the United States as a straight male. When I was in kindergarten, there was this girl who would run up to me and kiss me on the cheek, and all the adults thought that it was cute. Nobody was disgusted by it. Nobody tried to separate us or put us into different classes. Like I said, everybody thought it was cute. When I started liking girls, I didn't doubt myself and wonder what was wrong with me. No one told me that it was just a phase that I was going through and that I'd soon get over it. As I became interested in playing in the dirt and playing baseball and other boys' stuff, it was easier for me to be myself without judgment from others. I went to Catholic school where we were never taught that heterosexuality was evil and that we would go to hell for our thoughts and actions. I was allowed to be in the Boy Scouts with no regard for my heterosexuality. And in high school, I was never teased or bullied for my straightness. The first time I brought a girl home, I was not thrown out of the house and my family didn't disown me. I never heard the words, "You are not my son." Because I was accepted by society, my family, the church, and my peers, I never felt depressed or suicidal because of my heterosexuality. No one ever asked me, when is that you first realized that you liked girls? When the AIDS epidemic became known, I was never taught that this deadly disease was God's way of punishing heterosexuals. As I became more interested in watching football and listening to heavy metal music and drinking beer, I was never ostracized as I continued to identify as a stereotypical male. When I married, there was no need to search for places in the United States where it was legal. There were no clergy who refused to perform the services. And obtaining a wedding cake with a man and a woman on it was never an issue. When I entered the field of education, nobody feared that I would corrupt the morals of children with my heterosexual tendencies. As I became eligible for employee benefits, I didn't have trouble getting everyone in my family covered by my medical insurance. When I divorced, nobody shook their head and said, these heterosexual relationships just never last. When I moved in with my second wife, she was a mother of two. There were no whispers about how strange it would be for these children to grow up in a house with a man and a woman. And to this day, I could still hold my wife's hand, hug her and kiss her in public, without stares, finger pointing, and snide remarks. So if I were to take pride in being straight, I'd be expressing pride in the fact that I have never faced harassment, discrimination, or a lack of self-worth for my sexual orientation or identity. There's different kinds of self-pride. One is a feeling of pride for an accomplishment, say, making the dean's list or finishing a marathon, for example. This is the kind of pride that I believe straight people are attributing to the LGBTQ community's pride. Hey, look at me, I'm proud that I like someone from the same gender, or hey, look at me, I'm a boy pretending to be a girl. Not only is this portrayal of pride inaccurate, but it's also insulting as well. Another reason for self-pride occurs when one overcomes obstacles, like recovering from a serious illness or overcoming a traumatic experience. And this is the meaning for self-pride that does apply. Members of the LGBTQ community have had to overcome every single one of those obstacles that I mentioned that I did not have to overcome. And many of them have had to face it alone, abandoned by their family, with no friends who understood them. And there were many who could not endure and are not here to celebrate. The Pride movement not only allows members of the LGBTQ community to be themselves, it makes it okay for them to be themselves. And when they celebrate together, they're not so much celebrating their sexuality as they're celebrating their endurance for overcoming the social boundaries that were placed in front of them because of their sexuality. It's likely the only time that they're able to be surrounded by people who are like them. It's certainly the only time that they're ever the majority. So the Pride movement is not only improving lives, but it's saving lives as well. And when you talk about celebrating your straight pride, you sound silly at the very least, and you're homophobic at the most. Now, it's not my place to tell anyone who they should or should not sleep with, but could we please put this issue of straight pride to bed? And you could trust me on this one, because I am not your crazy uncle.